So what looks to be the final Westworld Season 3 trailer has just been released, and in this video I'm going to be breaking down, giving my opinion on it and reaction to the newest trailer, going through everything in the trailer that stands out and what we could expect for Season 3. But before we get into the breakdown, I'd just like to say if you do enjoy this video and you want to see more Westworld, I am going to be doing reviews of every episode, including the whole season once the season has finished, so subscribe to the channel if you're into that. Also like the video if you do enjoy it. But without further ado, let's get into this newest and probably final trailer for Westworld Season 3. Now, after the episode titles leaked the other day, I did a video on my channel and you can check that out. I very much implied that a war is building, and this war isn't going to take place in the future just between humans and the hosts, but rather the hosts themselves. And I think this trailer very much solidified that point of view that is going forward, that the war isn't just going to end with the war between Dolores and her army against the humans that seem to control the world, but rather the hosts themselves. And them hosts that are very much in conflict with one another stem from Dolores and Maeve's ideologies. As I said in that video, at the end of Season 2, we very much saw Dolores, who was on the side of creating a reckoning and taking down humanity's control over the Earth and replacing it with their own. But then we also had Maeve, who very much saw the beauty in not just the hosts but the humans, and we saw that with Lee Sizemore and his narrative last season, and I think we're really setting that up for the future narrative of this show. But before I come to the whole Maeve versus Dolores thing, I'm going to go into some of the other things we saw and what this could suggest going into Westworld Season 3. I think at the start of the trailer, Dolores says that she sees a reflection of the pain that has been, that she's been suffering also within Caleb, and that's obviously Aaron Paul's character who we see in the trailer. And we're essentially seeing a lot of reflections this season. We're seeing the hosts that we've seen suffer over the show reflected in the human characters they meet, and Caleb looks to be the decisive character that Dolores comes across and shares that frustration with. She also says that someone has been watching him, and I think that someone is Insight. I think it has very high potentiality that it is Insight, the company that has been promoted in the marketing campaign for Season 3. Insight is basically the company that is the source of Aaron Paul's anger, or his character's anger, and it's a failed system that is trying to control and use the corrections that nature puts in place, and the nature in the case of this season is the hosts. And I think we're going to see not just the control that this company has had over humans and their data, which was a big talking point of Season 2, but also how they're trying to keep away the hosts from distracting that control. And we're going to see Dolores' anger, and also very much Aaron Paul's character, Caleb, his anger towards that. I also want to mention the use of the Guns N' Roses song in this trailer, Sweet Child O' Mine, which brilliantly reflects kind of seeing under the beauty. And I think this season is completely about that. It's about seeing under what seems beautiful on the outside but very much rotting on the inside, but there's still a sense of beauty underneath that, and I think Dolores is very much searching for that. And I also think Maeve already knows that she wants that for her future. Essentially how the hosts have begun to see things, yet there is still a hope that beauty is there. And I think this song perfectly reflects that in the trailer. It very much feels like the end, but I think what we are seeing in this trailer is just the beginning. And this is where I come to the Maeve versus Dolores theory. I think what we are seeing in this season is the beginning of a war between the hosts and the humans, but I think that this show doesn't end there. The show is very much about questioning yourself. It's about questioning the reality of yourself and how you exist and where you exist and why you exist within that world. And I think very much this is coming down to not just the war between hosts and humans, but the war between hosts themselves. And we are seeing that with Maeve and Dolores this season. We are seeing how they're being not just put against each other, but they have differing points of view. And I don't think Maeve is used by Insight to try and take down Dolores, as this trailer suggests. I think that's very much a red herring. I think what we are seeing is Maeve actually making the decision to try and take down Dolores because she doesn't believe, in her opinion, on how they should go forward as a species. And I'm going to do a video about this, going into more detail on this theory in the coming weeks, so if you do want to see that, subscribe to the channel. But I think it's going to be a very important point going forward in the show. When it comes to the Man in Black in this trailer, it seems like he's on an interesting character journey. He says that he sees his purpose, one that is to save the world. I wouldn't be surprised if the cutscene that we actually saw at the end of Season 2 is actually the remaining humans, and in particular Delos, trying to make their original plan work. And that is obviously during the events of Season 2 we saw that their project was an immortality project, and the only way that the humans are really going to match Dolores once she starts to get control, I think, is that project. But the question is, how are they doing that? Because obviously we saw the Forge virtually destroyed in Season 2, but this is a question of backups. What backups do the humans have? And you know, we saw obviously the hosts' backups be destroyed in Westworld Season 2, but how does that correlate to the humans? And I think that's going to be a very interesting talking point this season, especially with Insight being a primary focus this season and how they control data. And what I was getting to is that I would not be surprised if what they're doing with the Man in Black at the end of Season 2 is actually their backup plan. Their backup plan to essentially create themselves as immortal beings, as hosts that can fight the hosts that will eventually take over in Dolores. That's my kind of theory towards that. But we're going to have to see how that develops, because obviously we don't have enough information to make a judgment on that yet. But I must say, this trailer really did give me an interesting kind of perspective to the Man in Black, and even though we only saw him in a few shots, he very much seems like he's figured out his path based on the shots that we did see, and it will be interesting to see what that path is going forward. Bernard also mentions in the trailer that the plan is starting. I also found this very interesting because it makes me question whether he has now sided with Dolores or if he's talking about the plan to stop her. The fact that he is also with Stubbs makes me question this and makes me think whether he has actually sided with Dolores. He was a character that basically has been revealed as a host now, who essentially let Dolores leave the park. He was the last obstacle for Dolores to get through when it came to getting on the boat and leaving, and he let her go. And he also revealed that he may actually be a host himself, so it'd be interesting to see how that plays out as well. But the question that still remains, and that I was trying to look very closely for in this trailer, is the question surrounding who is Charlotte Hale and who is in her body. I honestly would not be surprised at this point if it's another copy of Dolores, essentially her backup plan in order to see things through if they don't go the way she expects. I would not be surprised if it is Dolores. There's a lot of theories discussing certain characters. I don't think we're really in the point of mind to be judging who that is yet, simply because, again, similar to the Man in Black and with Bernard and how they're presented in the trailer, we can't really make a judgment on what point of view they're coming from. But I think it's interesting to point out that we did get to see Charlotte Hale actually speak in the trailer. It very much sounded like Ford, what she was saying in the trailer, but I don't think that's even possible, to be honest. I do think it is a host in her body, and I would not be surprised if it's a copy of Dolores, but we're going to have to see how that plays out. We also see human protests, which include a shot of the Maeve symbol on a wall, which is, by the looks of it, graffitied in red, and next door to it is the word Insight, which has a cross through it, which could suggest that people are uprising against those in power, and I think we do see brief shots of that in the trailer as well. Maybe the plan of Dolores and the hosts that side with her is to have the people take down the companies she wishes to destroy. After all, she does say in the trailer that we're outnumbered. She says that in the last trailer, she says that in this trailer. You know, I think Charlotte Hale's character even mentions a point, or whoever's within her host body says that it's essentially 5 versus an entire world. And I think the way Dolores is going to take down these companies and these people in power is to use their own people against them. The people who reflect, I guess, Caleb, who she sides with, who have extreme anger towards these people who are controlling them. And I think we're going to see the people of this world essentially take down. Dolores is going to side with them to take down the companies that she wishes to destroy. And I think overall, based on her connection with Caleb and his story, this seems very possible. We finally end again on the Maeve and Dolores shot, which, to reiterate, I think is the bigger conflict that is yet to come. I do not think this season is the final season as this trailer makes it out to be. I think the ending is between the hosts, and I think it's the war between that species itself to forge a new path in the future, one that very much reflects what's happening with humans in the real world, and I guess you could even say with our world right now. May I also add at the end of this video that the title card for Westworld throughout its marketing campaign this season essentially shows the Westworld logo as a reflection, simply implying what I've just said. It essentially has the logo reflecting in a mirror to create the Westworld logo that we all know. And I think that very point is going to be what Season 3 is about. It's the start of a war, not just between the humans and the hosts, but the hosts themselves, and I think it's going to be an interesting season that plays out. But anyway, that's my little theory and my breakdown of the newest and final Westworld trailer. Let me know down below what you think. Do you agree with my theory and my breakdown of this trailer, or do you think I'm completely wrong and there's a lot of different things that I haven't picked up on? But obviously Westworld has become a very interpretive show to a lot of people and how they feel towards what is happening in the show, and I think it's interesting, you know, to give different perspectives towards what we see in the show. So let me know down below what you think. Are you as excited as I am for the trailer? I thought personally this trailer looks fantastic. I also like the look of how the trailer on a huge budget is presenting an unprecedented scale in terms of science fiction television this season. I think some of the shots in this trailer were fantastic. It felt very Kubrick-esque in terms of the way everything was very central, very, you know, kind of away from the object or the subject in the camera, and you let the beauty kind of unfold on screen. And I like the way Westworld is using its budget to portray that. So let me know down below what you think. If you enjoyed this video, remember to click that like button. Also, if you want to see more Westworld, as I said at the beginning of the video, subscribe to the channel and turn on your notifications. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. I've been Cortex, and as always, make some noise.